I know that we have limited time. It's 3 and 9 here. So we were supposed to finish at 3, but I will quickly finish. We have only 2 remaining slides, and then we can go to Q&A session. The reasons for Afghan migration. We know that migration happens in every country, but some of the countries, particularly Afghanistan and some other countries, they has the highest number of migrants in the world. For Afghanistan, we have migrants in every part of the world, particularly in neighboring countries, Europe, and also some other parts of the world. In neighboring countries, in Iran, we have around 4 million or more than 4 million Afghans there. In Pakistan, we have around 3 or more than 3 million people that they are living there, and they fled the country for different reasons. There are some push factors for the migration and also some pull factors for Afghan migration. The push factors, I will come and describe first the push factors, that's why people are leaving Afghanistan. The first reason is conflict and insecurity. This has been the main reason for migration in the last decades and last years. Even currently, however, we don't have active conflict right now between the armed groups, but there are some people that they don't feel secure under the Taliban regime, and there are some people that employees of the previous government, some of the people that they worked in the army with the previous government, they don't feel secure in the country right now, and that's why they flee the country. Some ethnic and also religious minorities, they also don't feel safe in the country. For example, when it comes to the ethnic minorities, the Hazaras, and when it comes to the religious minorities, the Shias and also Sikhs or Hindus, they don't feel very much secure in the country, and that's why they flee and they leave the country. Human rights violation is another reason. The women and girls rights violation, the ban on girls and women education, the ban on women employment, even some Afghan women that they had their own private businesses, they were somehow affected, and that's why they leave the country. The freedom of expression, religion, and press is severely affected. That's why those people that they were working on the press and media, the journalists, they also left the country in the last years. There is targeted violence against former government employees, the journalists, aid workers, and some minorities. That's why they leave the country. Economic collapse is another reason. With Taliban took over, there was a big economic crisis in the country. International aid stopped. There were sanctions on Afghanistan, and banking system was also weakened, which ended up on this economic collapse in the country. I mentioned the economic collapse as a reason for the push factor for people to migrate and leave Afghanistan. And the other last factor is environmental factors. Unfortunately, Afghanistan is widely affected by the environmental and climate change. We have droughts in different areas of the country. We have floods in different areas of the country, which due to drought, we have internal displacement as well, and also some migration to the neighboring countries, because people cannot live there. They don't have any income. They tend to have agriculture and harvest, income from agriculture and harvest, and they lost that income. And now the only option they have is to leave that area and even to leave the country. The floods also affect the agriculture lands in the country and destroy the agricultural lands, which is the only income for people in the rural areas. They lost the animals that they have some income from those animals, and for that reason they leave those areas.
Some natural disasters, for example, you may hear about big earthquakes in Afghanistan, which happened in 2023, and also the other one happened in 2022 in Herat and also Paktika provinces of Afghanistan, which affected thousands of people. Thousands of people lost their lives, and thousands of people lost their houses, and they were obliged to leave the area, and they were displaced to other areas in the country, and some even left the country. These are the main push factors that encourage Afghans to leave the country and seek migration and support in other countries. We also have pull factors, the reasons that Afghans tend to choose Europe for this migration and for going to settle. The first thing is the safety and legal asylum, the refugee protection under international law, and some countries that they grant asylum to Afghans based on different risks that they are facing in the current context. Some countries announced that they are supporting women, aid workers, women activists, women rights and human rights activists in the country, the people that work in the media and press. So these news is also somehow encourage the people to migrate to other countries. However, some of them, they need to leave the country because of the risk they are facing. For example, the women rights activists, the human rights activists, the women and girls that they're working in the press and media, most of them, they left the country because it was not secure for them anymore to stay here. The second reason is education and women rights issue. There are some families that leave the country just to make sure that their daughters have access to school and university. We see them in different areas of the country, even in our own relatives, that they want to leave the country to make sure that their daughters over grade 6 have access to education and also to the higher education. The women headed households that they didn't have anyone to have income for that household, and the only breadwinner for the family was a woman. They were also obliged to leave the country because of the working opportunities are very limited for women. There is no opportunities for women to work in the government or to work in the NGOs and other areas. However, there are still some opportunities in health sector and education, but that are also very limited. And those women that they were working in other professions, or some of them that they had working in the as a human and women right activist, they were supposed to leave the country. The third reason is family reunification. We have some families and relatives in Europe that they are inviting their relatives from Afghanistan, or the relatives from Afghanistan are willing to join us and unify with them, with those family members and relatives. Better quality of life is another reason. Unfortunately, because of the very weak infrastructures for health, education, social safety, and other sectors in Afghanistan, the people tend to migrate to other countries to have access to a quality healthcare, quality education, and other services. The job opportunity and community support is another reason for that. Unfortunately, unemployment is skyrocketing in Afghanistan currently. There are, even for men also, the job market is very shrinked. We lost a lot of big companies that they were working, some international organization and NGOs, and also in the government, the opportunity for employment is very much reduced than the past. So that's why they try to migrate to have job opportunities and employment opportunities in other countries. The fifth one is Afghan diaspora. There are some countries in Europe and also in neighboring countries that we have big communities of Afghans living there. So the families and these communities, they feel encouraged, and they feel a kind of willingness to go and join those communities in European countries, for example, in Germany, in UK, Netherlands, and in the neighboring countries like Pakistan and Iran. We have big communities of Afghans living there. Next slide, please. Historical background and the roots of migration. First, I will come to the roots that are used for people for going out of the country and leaving the country, and for the migration. The first one, the first route, which is mainly used, is the route of Iran. People from Afghanistan, they go to Iran. We have border with Iran in many provinces, and they are two of them are official borders. So they go and leave the country through those official borders, and from Iran they go to Turkey. From Turkey they travel to Europe. However, this is a very dangerous and informal route of migration, but it's commonly used by Afghans, those that they are willing to go to Europe, and they cross the borders illegally with the help of smugglers. We have a lot of cases of the Afghans that they are killed in the border lines, in the border between Afghanistan and Iran, and border between Iran and Turkey, and even some of them lost their life and drowned in the sea while they were traveling from Turkey to Europe in ships. They are very difficult routes that they are used by for migration. The second route is Pakistan. Pakistan is mostly used by some ethnic groups like Pashtuns, that they have some family ties in Pakistan, and they stay there temporarily for moving to other countries. The Pakistan route is mostly used for going to Canada, United States, and some other countries. The other issue that we have right now, that most of the countries, they don't have any embassies in Afghanistan. So even if a family or someone from Afghanistan is going to receive a visa, a formal visa, an official visa from a country, a European country, USA, United States, or Canada, they need to go to the third country for receiving the visa, for having their interview, and for completing those formal and official steps for migration. So that's also a challenge, because there is no opportunity to stay in the country and receive your official visa, or follow your interview and other steps for the legal migration. The sea routes from Turkey or Libya to Greece, Italy, or Spain by boat. These are the sea routes which are very risky for most of the families. Challenge on the journey: arrest and deportation, especially from Iran and Turkey, is very common. We receive a lot of deported children from Iran and Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and some other countries. Exploitation by human traffickers. Many of them, they are abused by the human traffickers, and they are very traumatized in this route until they reach to the Europe. They pass a lot of challenges, and they are very traumatized during this journey, abused by the traffickers, by the smugglers. Some of them are arrested, and a lot of issues that they are facing. So when they go to the Europe, you can imagine that which kind of people you're going to receive after this difficult journey, after these long routes, long stay. Sometimes they stay for years in Pakistan and Iran, and they are involved in very hard labor in construction and in other industries in those countries, until they find a way to go to the next country, and then from that country to the other and next countries. They pass very difficult routes. Some of these migrants, they shared their stories that they didn't eat for days, and they didn't drink for days and they were beaten by the traffickers and smugglers. And in some cases, they were supposed to walk in the forest and the mountains and in the very difficult geography situation. Some of them had injuries during this journey. So it's a very difficult journey for the children, for adolescents, and for families from Afghanistan, that those that they are migrating illegally, when they reach to the Europe, until they reach the Europe and other countries, they pass a very difficult routes. Living in refugee camps are also somehow traumatizing for some of these migrants. Risk of violence, starvation, and abuse is also there during entire process. When it comes to the historical background of Afghan migration, however, migration happens everywhere, anytime, for different reasons, like prolonged conflict, economic crisis, and also natural disasters. But we had 3 or 4 big waves of migration from Afghanistan, according to the data and according to the history. The first big wave of Afghan migration was in 1980s, where we had the Soviet invasion, and millions of people left Afghanistan, and they went to Iran, Pakistan, and other countries. Then in 1990s, we had the civil war and Taliban rule, which triggered another wave of migration, and a lot of Afghans left the country. Post 2001, when the US, after the US invasion and the Taliban left the country, we had some returnees from Iran and Pakistan, because in that time there was some stability and security. We had the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. There were some freedoms, elections, and other things for people. We had some returnees, but still the conflict was ongoing, and there were a lot of insecurities and explosions every day. That's why many other people left the country. After 2021 till present, the main reason for Afghan migration is the Taliban return to power, and also particularly this really affected the issues around human rights violation, women rights violations, unemployment. The minorities, they tend to leave the country because they don't feel safe enough. However, there is no ongoing conflict, an active conflict, but still some minorities, they feel unsafe, or some others feel that they have to leave the country to have access to better services or to continue their girls' education and also other opportunities for women.